Hey, it's Joy. I've got big feelings about little things, and I want to talk about it. Oh yeah, I'm mad about it. And the fact that everyone else is not up in arms about it is a big part of the problem. Oh, I bawled my eyes out, like I always do. It was the sweetest thing. Oh, it was the cutest thing. It was the funniest thing. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Hey, thanks so much for being here. I am having some big feelings after having a weird experience in a car on the way over here. I was just listening to like old school regular radio. We call it terrestrial radio, which means like how back in the day you'd get in your car and you'd press a button and that would be a local radio station playing whatever type of music that normally plays. Well, that's what I was listening to on the way over. And there was a song that it hit my brain as somewhat familiar, but not fully familiar. So what I realized was it's one of those TikTok songs is the best way I can describe it. I don't actually have TikTok, but I just mean that in the sense that that's the little hook of a current song that people are using to put in their TikToks, which turn into reels on Instagram and then 4 weeks later turn into a reel on Facebook. So those little snippets of songs that you hear kind of over and over again, and you just hear that 20 seconds or whatever. But have you heard one of those like in the full real-time version? It is so weird because it's familiar enough that my brain is like, I know this song. Can I sing along with it? Not really. Do I know where my brain is waiting? It's almost like it's almost anticlimactic because I know it's headed in a certain way, but it just can't or isn't or doesn't seem to get there. So I'm in this quote unquote long, boring, slow, unfamiliar part headed toward that 20 seconds. And my brain is just looking to get that little itch of that part of the song that I know. So my brain is frustrated during that slow, boring part. And as I'm listening to this, trying to figure out what am I so frustrated by? It's a good song. I don't know this part. I know 20 seconds of it. I started wondering, is this what they mean, the experts, when they say that our technology is changing the way our brains work? And if that's it, that actually now makes sense to me. Because I have known for a while that I don't have the attention span I used to have. And the best way to describe that, besides that I rarely watch movies anymore, much would prefer, a 45-minute episode. That doesn't mean I'm not going to sit on the couch for well over 2 hours. I mean, I'll easily watch 3 episodes in a row. But somehow to my brain, that's easier than watching a 2-hour movie. And that's been a long time coming. That's been going on, since streaming got really big. But my other horrible habit that even I acknowledge is a horrible habit is to be watching something on television and still have my phone open. I cannot fathom any way in which that is good for my brain, good for my nervous system, good for any of it. And half the time I miss what happened on the TV, or something was silent and I was supposed to watch something and I missed it. I have to rewind it and go back. But it's very hard for me to put the phone down and just focus on the show I'm watching. And I know that's not great. It can't be great. There's no way that that's good for my sleep, for my functioning, for my memory. Every time I'm like, I can't think of the word. Word finding is getting really tough. So I think there's no way this is not feeding into that. And I start thinking, okay, one of two things is going to happen. Either I need to acknowledge this and do a detox and get a better plan, or put some child safety stuff on my phone, or put some time limits, or I don't know what. But I literally just thought to myself, I'll Google what are some good ideas. I'm going to Google some good ideas of how to get off the phone. Problematic. Okay, either that, and I can imagine that's a very difficult detox. But reset my brain, reset my stress hormones a little bit, reset my firing neurons. Or the songwriters are just going to start writing that 20-second hook and then moving on, and then figuring out the best way to get paid for that. And so then what? Our radio stations, we're playing old stuff, or we're playing 20-second blips. I mean, that's what we do on TikTok anyway. So which way are we going to go? Because I'm honestly not sure that I have the grit to really do a detox. The benefits sound good, but the process of it sound horrific. So I'll probably just keep playing a stupid game while I watch TV, and then have to just rewind 15 seconds every time I miss something, which doesn't sound like the answer. And I'll tell you what, I highly support. I'm a pediatric nurse, so I am involved a little bit in like how people handle iPads and how they handle technology and how do they deal with screen time, and when is it a treat and when do they demand it and when are they spoiled and have to have it. I see all kinds of different things about it, and I highly support anybody that is trying to help kids and trying to help support parents in being wise with kids' screen time, because their little brains are very delicate. They're not finished growing. Imagine what this did to my brain. It was at least developed by that time. It was mostly developed when I sent my first email. I mean, 90%. So I didn't have this constant influx as my brain was developing. So I'm highly supportive of anyone that has any kind of guardrails or other suggestions. Or, I mean, I saw a story where, was it Canada or Australia? Some cool place was going to make it illegal for someone under 16 to be on Snapchat or something, for example. Don't you can Google this and correct me if you want, but I'm just making a point. I'm not actually sharing the news. But the point was not to, of course, arrest kids for finding their way on Snapchat. It was a way to say to parents, we're just giving you something here to support you. Like, hey, it's not me. I'd totally let you have Snapchat, but it's illegal for me to give it to you. It's illegal for me to let you on. Do I think that's going to fix everything? Of course not. But if we're trying something, I'm all about trying something. And I'm all about creating a culture where we acknowledge this is not great. Instead of just being like, yeah, it's not great, but you can kind of do whatever you want to yourself and your kids and your brain. Yes, I understand that. But I wish our whole culture really cared about that. Because here's the thing. I care about these little brains because they're the ones going to take care of me soon. It's not going to be long. And they're going to be up and running and in charge and doing the things. And I would love for them to have a little corner of their brain that is functional to be like, you know what? Let's make sure there's like a nice, clean place for the old ladies to live. Okay? I'm fine with that. Let's make sure Miss Joy can still get to the grocery and she can buy an old lady sweater somewhere, and that the trucks can get to her side of the street so she can get her Amazon or whatever we're doing. Make sure the drones can get over there to drop off her, old lady tennis shoes and compression socks. I'd love for them that little portion of their brain to be working, firing on all cylinders to make sure my last years are are okay. But more than that, when we're talking about my brain starting to melt down, guys, we talk a lot about the generations. That's a hot topic. But you know who doesn't get talked about very much? Gen X. You know why? Because we're just over here grinding it out. We're doing the thing. We're the sandwich generation. We're over here making sure our boomer parents don't use all their retirement money to buy up Walmart gift cards and drop them off in an unmarked bag at the airport somewhere. And then making sure our kids somehow get off of a screen, learn how to use a fork, learn how to talk to people in real life because they'll have to at some point, even though it seems like they may not. Like these brains are important to our full society, not in 10, 20, 30 years, today. We're kind of the stable middle ground here. So maybe support us as well in a way to keep our brains firing and working. And, we'll do our part. We'll take the fish oil and everything, but I would be real careful to only worry about the kids' brains. Because if I can't function and I have to pull up the little screen to watch the little screen while I'm watching the big screen, but I got to rewind 15 seconds because I missed what was on the big screen, we might want to be careful. I will say while I'm taking this opportunity to talk about generations, I do want to just tell probably specifically Gen Z, you weren't around for it, but the way we were talked about by who's now the boomers and the ones above them, you would have thought our entire world was going to fall apart. We were so lazy. All we wanted to do was play video games. We wouldn't find anything to wear besides a t-shirt and a flannel shirt over that. We were listening to too much Nirvana. We never washed our hair. Were all those things true? Sure. But that was our time to have that. That was our time. It was we were in our 20s. That was the right thing to do for us. And chill out a little bit. It all turned out okay, right? Because here we are. But we got to protect these brains, I think even more so than the babies. I wish we would have known, and we would have had some of those big headphones that those little babies wear to the NASCAR races and the concerts. Anytime, Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter, she didn't have to ruin her hearing by going to all those concerts of her parents. They knew. They put some big old headphones on them. And okay, I missed out on that. I'll probably be wearing hearing aids long before the average. But we've learned. But I think this is our last little minute to come in and save these brains, especially as the women of this generation head into perimenopause and we start having that little slip of that's some brain fog word finding. We thought COVID was the worst of the brain fog. We had not a clue. We did not have a clue. So I'm encouraging you just to widen your view when you start worrying about technology and the brains. Include us in the conversation. And you'll have to get our attention first, and I acknowledge that. But we might need to do a little generational preservation as well. It'd benefit us all.
Thanks for listening to Little Things, Big Feelings with Joy Delaney. I'm James, the producer, editor, director, and executive producer. Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Honestly, forget TikTok. I don't even know how to use it anyway.
You don't know how to use it anyway.
James.
Follow Joy on socials at Joy Delaney Cox on Instagram and Facebook. See you next week.